G'day, it's Joel Rasmussen from Southern Cross Combat, and ahead of his fight at the Bellator Championship Series in London, I'm talking to Mr. Joseph Luciano. Joey, thank you very much for the time. How are you, my friend?
Mate, my pleasure. I'm very well. I'm the day before weigh-ins. I think it must be Thursday out here. It's about 1:15 p.m. in the Arvo. So yeah, just cruising, mate. Just relaxing.
You're riding high.
Yep, yep.
As you can see, where in London is this beautiful background joining us
This
from?
is what Geelong. Definitely not in London, but I'm sure no one wants to see the dingy hotel room with all my clothes everywhere. So I thought I'd save everyone the viewing of that.
So even now that you're on the world stage, Bellator doesn't provide a good hotel.
Look, to be honest, they've put us up at the Hilton, and it's fucking pretty extravagant. I definitely wouldn't stay in such fancy establishments if it was left up to me. But it's awesome here, man. We got saunas and training rooms, and the food's great in the hotel. So yeah, can't complain, man. Can't complain.
How is London treating you? You are obviously there on business, but you've been over for a little bit. Have you got a chance to go out and like see anything?
Look, man, we got in. Sammy Miles and myself got in on Saturday, and we've basically just walked around, got some medical stuff done out here, and not really seen too much of the city. Just sort of been focused on training and getting the weight down and getting the right nutrients in and all of that jazz. So I haven't seen too much of the place, to be honest.
So what did you say you got in on Saturday?
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
that's about what, 2 days after you found out you were fighting.
correct. Something like
How
that, I think.
how did this happen? How did this come to be?
Um, I suppose for a lot of people that aren't seeing the back end of this, it seems like it's kind of random. But my management agency and manager Reese has been doing a heap of work behind the scenes and reaching out, and has been in chats with a lot of people. So it's finally just something. Opportunities come up, and I fucking jumped on it, man. I think in such a dynamic landscape that MMA is, you've got to jump on your opportunities when they're there.
Where were you when you got the call?
I was in bed the night after my Muay Thai fight. I think it was 7:30 in the morning, and I fought the night before. So yeah.
And then was it just an instant yes from you?
Look, I'd like to think I'm a little more calculated than that. Um, Reese's first question was, "How banged up are you?" And I said, "Mate, I got out of that one completely scot free." He goes, "Oh, that's good to hear." And then he put the proposal to me, and I said, "Sweet, let me speak to Simo and Simon, my head coach, and we'll get back to you." And bang, that set the wheels in motion, and here we are.
What was the attitude from the team when you spoke to Simon about it? What did he say?
Simo was pretty keen. He liked the match, and I suppose everyone's concern was just about me being banged up from the Muay Thai fight, which fortunately I didn't. I fought the number three WBC ranked guy in the country and came out very unscathed. So I think that's a good sign. And said, yeah, I'll be fucking right to go in a couple of weeks, just over a couple of weeks, no problem. So everyone just wanted to know how my body was, and then the boys were super pumped. So yeah.
We will talk about the Muay Thai fight in a little bit. But as you mentioned, this has been something that's kind of been going on throughout the back end. How long have you been in talks with Bellator slash PFL?
Look, I would say probably across all the organizations, we've been in talks with them since I signed with Reese. He's constantly been putting my name out there and, updating him on what I've been doing and how I've been going. So it was, I suppose you throw enough shit at the wall, something's going to stick at some point.
Was if this opportunity didn't arise, did you see eventually something sticking and eventually you would make your way to Bellator PFL?
100%, man. Look, it may not have been Bellator or PFL. Who knows what would have happened? But my record speaks for itself, and how long I've been doing this and the level I'm at. So it's just putting yourself out there and waiting for an opportunity to arise.
Now, while I'm not the most business savvy gentleman, I'm not in those talks. I do kind of understand how they work. I'm assuming you scratch their back, they scratch yours. Do you have an extended deal with PFL Bellator?
Yeah, I do. I do.
How many fights?
I'll just say it's an extended deal.
Okay, I've heard four.
Okay, that's a pretty good assumption, but yeah, it's definitely not the one. So yeah, hopefully, I'll make a bit of a splash here and really make a career of it out here.
What dudes? Because it's short notice, and I know you take the fight because you're ready and you want the opportunity. But this is kind of the first impression, but it's a first impression with an asterisk because it isn't an ideal situation. Is there pressure on this fight?
Um, it's funny when people say that. Oh, do you feel pressure because it's a short notice fight? Or man, the amount of pressure I put on myself daily and my will and drive to succeed is nothing compared to the pressure of the actual fight. So the fighting's the fucking relieving part. That's the performance and the crescendo of what we build up to. So that's the fun part. It's all the shit behind before it. And then, I had the Jack James fight booked in, I think, 5 weeks. Um, so, I already knew there was something on the horizon anyway after the Thai fight. So, I was in shape and ready to go. So it's kind of the perfect storm.
Do you see this extended deal carrying over to PFL Australia?
For sure, depending on how this goes and how I look and everything. There's so many options, and that's one of the attractive parts of that deal. Across the two companies, who knows what can happen? If you're a stud, you're a stud, and I'm sure that'll take you to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
As a man who is now signed, as you said, to both companies, I know you're fighting in Bellator right now. You're getting the Bellator experience, the PFL experience, maybe in the future. But from your perspective, how do they compare? Because one's obviously tournament style, the other one's like one-off fights. Is there a ranking between Bellator and PFL?
I think they pose different challenges. Traditionally, in Australia, we've always had the one-off fights where you have a long fight camp and you do all that jazz. So that's very familiar to most fighters in Australia. I've had a little bit of a different experience doing the tournaments as an amateur, where you'd fight 5 times in a week and weigh in every day. So I suppose the PFL experience is in between those. I think you get 4 weeks between a fight. So it does require a little bit of a different strategy when you're tournament fighting. So for me, look, I think a measure of my personality is my adaptability, and being able to adapt to those situations is very important. Um, so it poses a different challenge, a unique challenge, and um, yeah, just horses for courses, right? Like different game plans, different ways to go about it.
You said it before when we were talking about it, and it's something you and I've spoken about when I've interviewed you in the past, that pressure that you do put on yourself. So I understand it's what you feel in the gym from your peers and so forth. However, this is the world stage. This is a top promotion. How is it to now be kind of making your impact on the world stage?
I think our local scene, the top end of the local scene, that top five, especially in welterweight, is world class. And I think maybe we're caught up so much in the local scene that we don't realize that. And then you have, it's happened across other divisions as well. Aussies going overseas and absolutely crushing it. So to me, it's basically the same level of fight, um, just in a different country, in a different place.
Now, you brought up the Muay Thai fight. I saw you the night of that fight. You and I got a
Yep.
chance to exchange words. You already said you weren't banged up from it. Muay Thai is something you and I have spoken about. It's a very open passion of yours. Did that scratch the itch of having a Muay Thai fight?
100%. when I first started this, it was only Muay Thai, and that's all I was interested in. And I was a little bit before size promoting with Roots and Rebellion. And then I went to MMA, and I was a big fan of Roots and Rebellion and anything Sai does. And then it's funny that I ended up getting to fight on it at the perfect time. And it's like when I played soccer, we would play really serious for our state cup and all of that. But then when you play street ball with your mates, it's probably more fun. So that was kind of the same thing for me. I got to enjoy it, and I've been doing this stuff for so long that having that recharge and fun with it was fucking awesome. It definitely scratched an itch. I wish I could do it more. Um, I fought Lewis Abbott, who I suppose a lot of the MMA guys probably aren't familiar with, but he's currently ranked number 3 in the WBC rankings, and he's very well regarded. And he was on a massive win streak and everything. And yeah, it was a great fight. Yeah, it's just a bit of a different vibe with the Muay Thai. And that was a massive card with the road to Rajadamnern, and there was all the Thai government out there, and yeah, just a cool event, man, to be part of.
Do you think you'll do it again?
I don't know if I can, mate. I would have to look into the details of this contract, but if they let me fight Muay Thai, I would 100% do it. As soon as I walked out of the ring, I said to Sai, "Hey, when can I come back?" And he said, "Oh, we've got a date here. I'd love to have you on again."
How does it differ? You said, it's a little bit more fun. You might get a more chance to let your hair down per se. How does it differ? Because so few people get to have the experience of fighting in one art, let alone two.
Yeah, I think, look, and this might not be the case for the guys that actually solely do Muay Thai, but for me, it was purely about enjoyment. I'm not trying to make a career as a Muay Thai fighter. Um, so it was purely about enjoyment. But in that field, your wins and losses are a little bit different to the MMA and boxing. So I feel like it's more about the performance in the fight than the actual result with the Muay Thai. Um, so yeah, I think that was kind of liberating.
Did you do the walk around the ring and seal it and like
Yeah, mate,
the
I,
thing?
I always seal the ring whenever I do Muay Thai. I don't personally do a Y crew, but yeah, I definitely sealed the ring for sure.
How is that feeling compared to like, because when you enter the cage, you walk around the cage. It's maybe a similar thing, but it's not the same.
I suppose the cultural and tradition of it is really cool. Like it is a martial art. It's not just fucking fighting. So it's nice to be able to embrace that. And I've spent so long in Thailand, and I've explored the culture, and yeah, it's just nice to be a part of it and show some respect both to my trainers, the culture, and the sport itself.
Did you get a chance to talk to Lewis Abbott? Because as you mentioned there, it's something that you did for fun, but those are guys who are hungry, who are on the come up.
Yeah, I actually didn't. Normally, I'll always make an effort to have a chat, win, lose, or draw with my opponent. But I had to fucking shoot off straight away. So I literally ran to the back, cut my wraps off, chucked my clothes on, and ran down to demo because Dylan was fighting and Kwame was fighting, who I've got, a lot to do with Dill from a coaching perspective, and then Kwame a little bit as well. So both me and my Muay Thai coach, Andy, he deals with Kwame as well. So we both had to shoot straight away. I think I grabbed Lam Tong, my Thai coach, and said, "Quick, let's jump in the car," and we drove out to the demo fight. So I actually didn't get to chat to Lewis.
Fair enough. Um, with the original plan of the Muay Thai fight and then the Jack James fight, I saw a video posted on the Absolute YouTube channel. It's a clip of you talking about it, and you're like, "I got a busy few weeks. I got a busy time period here." Um, how did you enjoy that feeling of knowing I've got this, but then I've got this other thing looming over me as well?
It's fantastic. Like as long as your body can handle it and you're not getting too banged up, both your brain and your body as well. I think competing regularly is pretty important. At least for me, like the stress of the competition is kind of negligible. So, I have that pressure, as I said, on myself anyway. So I may as well get to have the enjoyment of the fight, which it is for me.
We've seen regional Australian MMA fighters go over to Muay Thai when they had a title fight booked, and it has absolutely jeopardized the title fight
Yeah.
when things went very wrong. Was that anything that crossed your mind?
Look, I had a few people say to me, "Hey, look what's happened in the past where guys have been getting knocked out, and then it's ruined their career, and they haven't been able to fight for the titles, or they've gotten really injured and had to take a bit of time off." And that was definitely something in my mind, but maybe it's arrogance, maybe it's delusional. I know that wasn't going to happen to me. I have real faith in my Muay Thai and keeping myself safe. Even if you're losing, my fundamentals were taught that you keep yourself safe in there first and foremost. So yeah, look, I was prepared, but mentally to not be hurt. Like I just knew it wasn't going to happen.
Just, too mentally strong to get KO'd.
I'm not saying that, touch wood, but yeah, I just the opponent, my style, how we matched up. I would have been. I thought I might have gotten cut, but I didn't think I was going to get KO'd. Not with those bigger gloves on.
uh, of course, very few things in professional fighting are ideal. Nothing always it doesn't
Correct,
always work out. Uh, if you had known that this opportunity was going to pop up, do you think you still would have taken the Muay Thai fight?
mate. That would have been fucking insanity to do that. Look, if the Bellator opportunity had to come up, I wouldn't. I would hate to have pulled out on Sai. A week or two before. Hopefully, yeah. It's just the way it worked out is perfect. I don't want to have to say, yeah, I would have pulled out or no, I wouldn't have pulled out. I don't even need to comment on that because it's worked out the way it has.
Fair enough. You were fighting Stephen Hill.
Yeah.
When you were coming into a situation like this, you were entering someone else's region on short notice. Did you know who Stephen Hill was? Did you have any idea of who this person was?
No, I didn't have any idea of who he was at all until we had a look at the match. Um, you know, there's so many guys out there at such a high level, you can't keep tabs on everyone. That's just a waste of energy. Um, so yeah, we assessed the match when it came up.
When you did, look into him, what did you see about him and what are your thoughts on him?
Look, he's probably got a little bit of a similar style to myself, to be honest. If you look at his record and his finishes and how he approaches it, so I'm willing to back myself in any situation. So yeah, look, we thought it was a good match, and obviously saw some holes there and some stuff we're going to exploit for sure.
Coming into this fight off, a Muay Thai fight where you've had that opportunity to spread the wings and just focus on your striking and kind of let the hair down. Has it like rejuvenated your like view of MMA?
That's a really interesting question, Joel. My, I wouldn't say it's rejuvenated because it was never dull. But it was cool just to do a bit of a side quest and then get back to the main mission, I suppose now, which is what I do love in my career is MMA, and that's what I'm best at for sure.
You're a guy who loves Muay Thai, and as you said, like when you were talking about taking that matchup, the Muay Thai fight, you talked about how you understood your style. Do you think we'll see a huge gap in striking between your last MMA fight and this one because you've had that opportunity, or was it not really a thing where you were working it as
I
much?
think in none of my MMA fights I've really struck. To be honest with you, man, like all my well, especially as a pro, as an AMI, I was striking a lot more. But I've predominantly grappled and wrestle fuck dudes. So yeah, yeah, I don't think yeah, that's just kind of what I do. I play to my strengths for sure.
Why do you think that is? What do you think changed between the amateurs and the pros?
The glove size. So the bigger gloves, the puffy MMA gloves, are really hard to sink chokes in with. But they protect your hands a little bit better. And when you're fighting multiple days, I could afford to throw down a little bit more with them. But it was really hard to choke anyone. And then when I got into the fours, uh, yeah, I've been choking people left, right, and center. Big difference, big difference. And the longer time rounds as well, 3 minutes to 5 minutes.
Now that you are on the world stage, I'm sure you've seen a huge change now that you're over in Bellator. I had once I told some people that this interview was happening, I had some people submit some questions. Uh, so
Okay.
so I've got one here. Uh, the question wasn't this, but I need to seek clarification. What is the rainbow zone?
Oh, fucking hell. Um, so that was just everyone taking the piss out of me, I suppose, because I was trying to be really deep and, you know, having a real deep, meaningful heart to heart chat with Alistair. And unfortunately, Ritz fucking put a camera in front of my face and caught me saying the rainbow zone. And then someone made a highlight of it. But look, I don't know what the fuck the rainbow zone is. I was trying to say that peak mindset, but hey, we ended up with the rainbow zone.
Will you be trying to channel it in this fight?
100%. A friend of mine called me the rainbow gorilla, which is kind of terrifying. Definitely don't know what the fuck that means, but I'm always trying to hit that peak alpha flow brainwave state, whatever you want to call it, flow state. And I've kind of figured it out how I can get myself there.
How far out from a fight can you enter the rainbow zone?
As I'm walking in, I don't want to waste it. There's only so much rainbow.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Is it tiring to exist in that rainbow zone?
I'd say it's more tiring to exist outside of that. The day to day struggles of life and dealing with so much input compared to being in that flow state where you're locked in to one situation. I definitely know which one's more tiring, and that's the multiple possibilities of life, right?
Two final questions from me. As we've mentioned throughout this, obviously crazy situation. It leaves Jack James at the moment without an opponent for their inaugural title at Beatdown. Who do you think should step in there and fight for that title?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I know Jono McAuliffe's got a win over Jack James. So there's definitely that option. But most of the other guys are sort of all locked up at the top. Um, yeah, I suppose you got Alden. Vale just lost. Alden's having a kid. And then you got Caleb and Kit. So that's sort of the top 6 or 7 guys. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Damo's a great promoter. He'll figure it out. Um, yeah, hopefully they can get Jack still on the card. And yeah, yeah, that's a tough one, man. Just with how small our talent pool is.
And finally, from me, you're repping Australia, but you've spoken about it in the past. You're an Italian man. What is your opinion on pineapple on pizza?
Terrible, mate. Absolutely terrible. Why? Why would you do that? Disgusting.
What is the ideal pizza?
For me, the ideal pizza is a margarita. Very small amount of sauce, just really basic and simple. There's beauty in simplicity, and that definitely applies to pizza.
At what point does it become too much?
I think when you go past 4 ingredients, three or four, three's peak, four's pushing at five. Come on, mate.
Joey, I thank you very much for the time. It is always a pleasure to speak to you, especially so close to a fight, and especially when you're coming
My
away.
pleasure, mate. I appreciate you doing this and what you're doing with the scene and getting eyes on us and allowing people to see our personalities too.
Ah, man. Well, I try. Thank you so much, my friend. Good luck in the fight. Safe travels home. How long are you over there for?
I think I got a couple of days after the fight, and then I'll be back in town and back in the gym.
Back on the grind. What is maybe if you
Yep.
haven't seen London, maybe you get a chance to look around in those days.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers
Is
crossed.
is there anything on the list?
Nah, nothing exists until the fight's done, mate.
That's fair. Joey, thank you so much for the time. I greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right, mate. Catch ya.